Look at that, you beat me here. What's going on? Well, tonight I start drawing a halfling. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but that's what I'm starting. How are you doing, Anouk? Did you see the bronze dragon? This is what I finished, I think, just last night. So somehow I've got to follow up something better than this. Don't know how I'm going to do it. Thank you. I had fun with it. Adding all the lighting and everything was pretty cool. What? Let's see, 7? Yes. So I don't even know if I'll doodle anything or what I'll get down, but I'll at least put something on paper tonight. We'll see. Trying to think what kind of pose I want. That stream delay is nearly 40 seconds. How can you tell how much delay there is? Are you just talking about like between when you say something and when I say something? It's 40 seconds? Wait, so you type something and hit return and it... Oh, the video. Oh, so you type something in chat and it takes 40 seconds for it to pop up on that. Oh, yeah. Let's see how long it takes me. 8 seconds. Much faster for me. 8 seconds, give or take. Yeah, could be. Where are you at again? Indiana. Oh, that's weird. It shouldn't take that long. I mean, if it is, it is, but it really shouldn't. The US should have some pretty speedy times. Yeah, it could be though. I mean, it could be the server that you're going through for Twitch is heavily used. Maybe. It's going to be a halfling. Right now I'm just kind of goofing around. We'll just see what happens. Following up, hello. Welcome back, long time no see. How much sleep did you get following up? And here comes Zero. Hello, Zero. So yeah, how much sleep did you get falling up? Yeah, work kept me busy much later than planned today. So obviously I didn't even get to start until at the very end. Wasn't even sure I should start, but then I'm like, yeah, I'll at least get a little bit of time in. Well, at least you returned the dog to the owners. Good job there. How did they know to call you? I've always got some sketching to do, but let's talk D&D. I can always work in a couple conversations if we have multiple subjects, but what kind of questions do you have? Or what do you want to know? Nextdoor and Facebook page, and she saw it. Yeah, you know, Nextdoor comes in handy. I look at Nextdoor more than anything else when it comes to that kind of stuff. Surprisingly, that's a pretty good platform. I think people accepted it. This is pretty bottom heavy hobbit. Halfling. I'll skinny up his legs. He's got kind of Hulk legs right there. Superhero legs. What are the beginning stages for being a new D&D player? I would start with the player's handbook before anything else, and that seems obvious, but that's where I would start. I don't know what your budget is, if you're finding PDFs of the books online or if you're buying stuff or whatever, but no matter how you get it, I would start with the player's handbook and read all about the classes and the races, because that's your two biggest first considerations to play, is what race you want to be and what so look online. The PDFs are online. Just look for Player's Handbook PDF. Just be careful you don't go to a site that puts a bug on you or whatever. Make sure you're using what is it called, security software or whatever, because you're definitely at risk when you're trying to find those PDFs. So yeah, Player's Handbook, races and classes. That can keep you going for a long time. Now, you're not always good. I'm on a Mac too. Got to be careful. So just be careful, that's all. You choose your own race. You choose your own class. So you could be an elven ranger if you wanted to. You could be an elven thief. You could be an elven fighter, or you could be a halfling rogue. So you get to choose. So that's why it's so important to read those and know what you want. And it'll be overwhelming at first because a lot of it will sound exciting and you'll want to try a little bit of everything. Look at that, I dropped 73 frames. Excuse me, and I'm burping too. Tell you about what specifically? You have to give me details. And I can't go into the details of all the races and stuff. That's what the book is for. I can just give you the general things to think about. But sometimes it's easy to think of like what your favorite character is in literature and then try to replicate that character. That's usually a fun thing. What is D&D? a nuke. Now, I can understand you haven't played it because not everyone has played it, but I'm surprised you haven't heard it. But as Falling Up says, it's Dungeons and Dragons. So it's a role-playing game. I know you've heard Dungeons and Dragons, right? But a role-playing game. Really, if you go extreme with it, you sort of get to act out your characters. And it seems to have a resurgence lately. It's been super popular lately. Critical Role and its success has really made a lot of people come back to the game. Yeah, D&D's just the short for it, yeah. And it is fun to play. It's a really strong social game because, you know, you play with your friends and usually drinking or having a good time or whatever. Doing geeky jokes that only Dungeons and Dragons folks would understand, but you're cracking up. You watch Critical Role? Yeah, so that is a fantastic place to kind of get an idea then. And you don't have to act it out as much as they do, but that's just one way of playing. Me and my friends, we didn't act it out so much. We were more straightforward. But I think a lot of people nowadays want to act it out more because they see how much fun it is. But it's hard. I think a lot of people think they're better actors than they are, and you know, you have to think of your script on the fly. It's pretty tough, very challenging for me anyway. Yeah, that's cool. And if you get a dice kit, so you got a 20-sider, 10-sider, 8-sider, 4-siders, maybe 3 6-siders. I don't remember if there's any other siders that you need, but that's most of it. Got a 20-sider? Yeah. Cool. So that's what I would do first, is think of, it helps to think of a fantasy character that you like and just say, I want to play that. So like you might want to play Aragorn, or you might want to play Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, or you might want to play Elric of Milne-Bonnet. So if you know a character, then you can kind of model your guy after that character. That's a very good way to get started. Give yourself some direction. Because like I said, it can be overwhelming. You're like, oh my God, it sounds so cool. What do I want to be? Yeah, usually the comic book shops have the dice sets. You know, I really like this little sketch, but it's not very dynamic. I think I need to at least do something with the arms. It needs to hold a weapon or something. Yeah, that's the other really fun part, drawing out your character and drawing what type of armor he has and weapons and a little bit of gear. So tell me, what type of characters do you like? Or when you're playing games, what kind of class do you pick most? Like, do you play WoW? Or do you play any fantasy games? And if not, what kind of characters, like in the Lord of the Rings, what character interested you the most? Oh. Well, I would say then you probably ought to go watch The Lord of the Rings, because if you watch The Lord of the Rings and you enjoy that movie, and then you say, yeah, you know whose character I really liked in that movie was X, then that can give you an idea of you know, who you'd want to play. Because Lord of the Rings, Dungeons and Dragons started because of Lord of the Rings. So Lord of the Rings was written, and The Hobbit was written, and they go on a quest, and you know, they find treasure, they fight the trolls, all that kind of stuff. That's Dungeons and Dragons 101. So yeah, I would recommend them just because the production quality on them are so good. I wouldn't worry about any other Dungeons and Dragons movies, to be honest. You can watch them if you enjoy fantasy and enjoy the genre, but Lord of the Rings is pretty typical Dungeons and Dragons. For me, because I like classical fantasy like that. Yeah, if you truly get the bug, and you find that you really enjoy fantasy, it's pretty hard not to like Lord of the Rings. It's that good. Like, even if you don't like fantasy, the movies, you know, they're not perfect, but they're that good. They're that good that they're worth watching. And then if you want something a little darker and grittier, the only other thing is, of course, Game of Thrones, which is fantastic, but in completely different ways. Part of your manga is fantasy. Yeah, so did you like Game of Thrones? What about you, Falling Up? Who's your favorite character? Anouk, if you're still here, who's your favorite character on Lord of the Rings? And whoever else is lurking, who's your favorite character on Lord of the Rings? Quick poll time. in Zero, what's your favorite character in fictional literature? In any story, any genre, who's your favorite character? Samwise Gamgee, yeah. More of a spell sword. Yeah, I never got into those classes. They always sound fun. Like Eldritch Knight. Although my Deep Gnome is going to be pretty, not a spell sword, but a spell rogue. So that's kind of brand new for me. I think it'll be interesting. I like a lot of this Hobbit already. Maybe he doesn't have to be dynamic. Maybe it'll all be about designing clothes for him. Skyrim. Oh, Conan the Barbarian. All right, he's a very good example. So Conan the Barbarian, depending on how much of a barbarian you want to make him, you could play barbarian absolutely in Dungeons and Dragons. So there's a class barbarian who tends to be perhaps the strongest fighter, or at least the strongest tank. So can usually take a lot of damage, or is resistant to damage. Very, very high damage dealer. So a lot of fun to play, and could be a lot of fun being your first character too. Not too complicated, but again, you get in there and brawl and kick some butt. And it's always fun to kick some butt. Now some folks might say Conan the Barbarian is more of a fighter, because he's more of a versatile fighter as opposed to just a barbarian. But that's kind of up to you on what flavor you want to give him. Yeah, if you like barbarians, there you go. I think you know what class you want to be then. In Skyrim, you always play with a flame spell in one hand and a one-handed sword in the other. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I didn't know Skyrim. I have never played Skyrim, but I didn't know you could do both. So that is interesting. And you tend to be two-handed weapon users? Yeah. So from a advantage perspective, in Dungeons and Dragons, a two-handed weapon may or may not give you a longer reach. And they tend to do more damage. And then you can pick some skills so that you specialize in two-handed weapons to do even more damage. So you sacrifice a little bit of your protection, your armor class. You'll hear that a lot. But that's not such a big deal with barbarians, because they are restricted to so little types of armor anyway. Most of their resistance comes from natural resistance. So I'm kind of thinking you might like being a barbarian. What, two-handed weapons are slow? Or barbarians? Barbarians are fast. I don't know if they're fast in 5e. They were fast in 3.5 rules. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's right. So barbarian is one idea, but you should read all of the other stuff. Because there really is so many choices. Yeah, we don't play with weapon speed. I don't remember if that was a 3.5 rule or what. I know at some point Dungeons and Dragons had weapon speed as a factor that would influence your initiative. but I think it's all gone. So now it's just your initiative and you get to attack with whatever you have. Now, what do you mean by fuse characters or races? I think my hobbit halfling is going to have mutton chops. Maybe a little soul patch. Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons or D&D, you can fuse if you want to. It's called multi-classing if you want to mix it up. But I would say don't do that in the beginning. Wait until you learn the game more before you do a multi-class. And I've done all kinds of multi-class characters, and honestly, I prefer the pure characters. Like, I would rather have a 20th level fighter than a 10th level fighter, 10th level rogue. Yeah. Yep, I do know. So that's why my recommendation is pick a class and just don't multi-class. Not on your first character. Because if you get the bug, you're gonna make so many characters. You're gonna like get character happy like most people. Even if you don't play the character, you'll be like, I want to roll up that character, see what his stats are, what kind of weapons. Maybe I want... kind of want a polearm suddenly. Or a staff. I've done a staff. I haven't done a polearm. I haven't done a fighter. Yeah, one-handed weapon and spells. Trying to think besides Conan if there's any good barbarian classes. Or not barbarian classes, but examples. There is in literature. I can't think of anything. So there's a couple styles of barbarian, and I'm not the expert, but I think one of them is a berserker style. So basically, just goes apeshit in combat, ignores all damage, just deals out a crap load of damage, but then kind of suffers after the end of the battle because he was kind of out of it. You know, Zero, Dungeons and Dragons Online, so DDO, is free to play, and you can play some of the classes. The rules are, they use more 3.5 rules, not the 5.0 rules, but you could play that game just on your own time even, and just kind of make characters there and see what you like, and then reproduce them or something close to them. Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons Online. It's free to play for some of the core classes, and then of course if you want to do the specialized classes you can pay. Even if you didn't play the game and you just made some characters, I think you can make 5 characters for free, and you can just kind of play around and look at the types of stats and look and feel and the design and all that kind of stuff. And it's just fun to play with. Excuse me as I pick my ear because it itches. And it works on the Mac too, so you can do a Mac download and do it from the Mac. So that's always handy. Okie dokie. Yeah, I'm just taking my time tonight, so you won't be missing anything. So I got this far and realized I don't even know what class this little guy is going to be. Wonder if I should give him a hat. Put a picture in Discord. Has your hair not been freshly done in a while or something? Hello, Tavastri. Thanks for stopping by on your way out. Following up, I haven't had time recently. It takes a minimum of 3 hours when I do it myself. You sound like you have a whole lot of hair. Really thick. You do any streams? I don't think you do you? So I'll take your word for it. Welcome back. You know, it's a hard question to answer, to be honest. But I can tell you that it was fun. Now, I played during high school. You know, when we're so young, we don't have a whole lot of things to do. Because in high school, I did about 3 things. Played D&D, played soccer, and what else did I do? It might have been it. A little bit of computer games because it was just starting to become popular. But we had a lot of all-night sessions. We were just kicking back, drinking, eating, and having these adventures. So it's a very social experience. I tended to be the dungeon master a good portion of the time, most of the time. Being a dungeon master is fun because you're writing the adventures. So if you like to write, you know, that's one more thing that you might like about the game. But you don't have to. There's plenty of other pre-made things out there. But I was very happy to write the quests. We bought a crap load of quests, so we bought pretty much anything we could ever find. So we played a lot of the pre-written stuff. But that's it. I mean, there was me and 1, 2, 3, pretty much 4 other friends that we played for a couple years straight. That's about all we did. And then there'd be other people that would come in and play once in a while. They're coming and going. But I think the 5 of us were pretty consistently playing. It was a lot of fun. Welcome back, following up. So what'd your bestie say? Did you get 2 thumbs up from your bestie? You're a writer too? Oh, then you may really have a good time writing up the adventures. Shouldn't be stressful. Should be fun. But if you're playing it correctly, then there should be real risk for your characters. So what could be stressful is you might have a character that you really love, and technically you're playing him and that character gets killed and is dead. That can be a little bit stressful. Yeah, because if you're playing the game, right, say you're a barbarian, say you got 20 hit points, and on a good hit, you might be able to do 30 hit points of damage, maybe 15, so somewhere in there. But you might fight a monster that's pretty darn tough, or it might just get lucky dice rolls, and it's possible your character can be killed. So this can be a bummer, but it can be exciting, because if you like your characters, you know, it's kind of like watching a horror movie or whatever, watching an adventure movie. You don't want them to die, but they're in danger, so you're worried about them, blah blah blah. But then conversely, if you get kind of lucky on your dice rolls, or you play with a DM who appreciates you strategizing, then it can be really exciting defeating these creatures or outsmarting them or all kinds of stuff. Well, the truth is, you don't have to kill your character, right? It's your character. The way the game is sort of supposed to be played is if your character dies, you're supposed to re-roll and start with a new character. But in the game, death is never really permanent, especially in the higher levels when you start getting the spells that can bring you back from the dead. But in the lower levels, it's really hard because you're too poor to pay for a priest to heal you, unless your dungeon master says screw it, they'll do it. But it kind of gets boring if there's no risk. You kind of want a little bit of risk. Now, you don't want your favorite character to die, of course. So maybe playing carefully will be the thing to do. And a good dungeon master is not out to kill you, but he or she should be out so that you don't know what's going to happen. So that you have to be careful. You have to play smart as well as get lucky rolls and know when to run and stuff like that. Because if you've got a good dungeon master, it should almost feel like you guys are writing a book, writing stories together. And just like writing a story, you want the hero to be in danger. Because when you're reading the story, if the hero is in danger, then when that hero gets out of danger, you're like, oh, whew, that was exciting. So it's the same thing for Dungeons and Dragons, right? You need to be in danger so that you can figure out how to get out of it. Because if you get out of it, it'll be exciting. That's part of the fun. But, you know, the truth is, when me and my friends played and we had our favorite characters, and you have a cleric who's a high enough level, or you have enough gold or whatever, if the character dies, usually they're dead for the rest of that adventure, and then we would take them back and do a resurrection or raise dead or something like that. So it's kind of tougher to kill characters, you know, above 10th level, but it's pretty easy to kill characters below 10th level. But it just depends on you and your dungeon master and how strict you want to do the rules. But because of that, I wouldn't get too hooked up. Like right now on my Deep Gnome, I really like my Deep Gnome, and I hope he doesn't die, but if he dies, he dies. But it would be a kind of a bummer. But he's still young He's still young. I want to explore him. Yeah, I don't know if you guys were watching the online games, but we've once or twice each, except yeah, I think all of our characters, you know, there's 4 of us, all of our characters have pretty much gotten down to 0 hit points and we're bleeding out. And it could have very easily gone, the dice rolls could have gone against us, and we could have died if we missed 3 of those, you know, death saves. So I think I was down, my character was down once for sure, maybe twice. The dwarf was down at least once. Mortrick was down twice. And and Runa, the monk, was down at least once too. So we've almost all died. There was one time, like first or second day we were playing, we thought it was going to be a total party wipe because it got that close. I think 3 out of 4 of us were dead. In fact, it was that close because my character was the last one, and instead of fighting, I figured a way to drag them out of the fight and basically retreat. You blame Travis Willingham? Is he one of the players? Ooh. I don't know who Travis is by name, unfortunately. Famous voice actor. And he's one of the Critical Role players? I know they're all voice actors, but I don't know voice actors if they're famous or not. All right, Tavastri, we'll see you next time. I may sketch less and talk more this stream. Because like I said, I like my D&D. I can geek out on that for a while. Yeah, don't expect to learn everything very quickly. Like I said, it's overwhelming at first, but the 5E rules are probably the easiest to digest. But it'll take a while. There's a learning curve. But there's all kinds. I mean, you can ask me questions anytime. You can ask any of the guys that I play Dungeons and Dragons with questions, or you can go to Reddit. There's some forums up there. You can ask questions, or there's places you can ask questions all over the place. And you will have questions, guarantee it. Autosave. That's good that you trust us somewhat. Don't want to put too much trust into anyone. But if you somewhat trust them. All right, Zero. See you next time. I'm actually thinking I'm going to stop for the night as well, because there's no reason for me to go to 2 a.m. tonight or go longer. I got a little head start here, so I'm pretty happy so far with the halfling. I had a good time talking D&D. So folks, I will be back. I close tomorrow, so if I stream, it's going to be really late. But there's a good chance I'll be streaming tomorrow night. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, he's got a little something going on. What class does he look like to you? Because I think that's my problem, is I can't figure out what class I want him to be. So I don't know if he'll have a staff or he'll have a spear or halberd or something like that, but I definitely like the idea of a polearm of some sort. So maybe tomorrow I'll wake up and be like, oh yeah, he looks just like a blank. Okay. So long, everyone. I'm fading away.